Why are you so shy all of a sudden?
Through the 12th. So it is Pride Month that we are celebrating. It's hosted by Rogan and Kathy, as always, and then they always...
So I come home literally like an hour later than normal, and Galileo was not pleased by that apparently. So he managed to somehow get into the cabinet to get the Frosted Flakes and just go a little bananas. Yeah, you. Hey you. I'm talking to you. No, don't be cute now. Don't try to give me hugs now. Leaving messages for mom. Hello. So it is June 4th in the evening. Like not 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? I don't know. I'm almost done with America's Dream by Esmeralda Santiago. So this was technically in my May TBR, but I wasn't able to get to it. So I'm reading it this month, and it applies for Caribbean Heritage Month because it's set partly in Vieques, which is a small island in Puerto Rico, part of like a few of the tiny islands that are Puerto Rico. And Esmeralda Santiago is Puerto Rican, so, and Puerto Rico is in the Caribbean. So yeah, it's about a woman who lives in Vieques. She's a maid at a hotel there, and she is in a very abusive relationship. She doesn't have the best relationship with her daughter that she had as a teen, and her mother is an alcoholic, and so she doesn't have the best life. And she has the opportunity to be able to move to the mainland United States to work as a live-in nanny and sort of maid for this white American family. And it's about so many things. It's about it's about life in Puerto Rico. It's about machismo. It's about gender roles. It's about how we try to prevent our children from making the same mistakes that we do, and just like parenting and different parenting ideologies as a whole. It talks about the American exploitation of Puerto Rico. It talks about the ways in which Americans view Puerto Rico, and then when she moves to the United States, there is a discussion of the privilege that she has because she's an American citizen, and discussions of like others view her as American, but she views herself as Puerto Rican who just happens to be an American citizen, not as an American, but as a Puerto Rican first and foremost, which is the way that I was raised, and it's the way that most of the Puerto Ricans that I know who were born in Puerto Rico feel. Or many, I think most that I know personally. Others I may have a different way of considering themselves, but I always considered myself Puerto Rican first and American second, or just like Puerto Rican who just because of where she was born happens to be able to have an American citizenship. And it talks about privilege, and it talks about the exploitation of, the labor of immigrants and migrants and women of color, and the ways in which she views life, the simplicity that so many of these women of color that she meets as she is like being a nanny to these kids, she meets other nannies and things like that, the simplicity with which all of them view their life back home, and how stark a difference it is to come here and see the excess and the lack of satisfaction of the sort of typical American. And it has a lot. It actually has a lot. It's very, very readable. The writing is not over, like it's not exquisite. It's very, very readable. It's very accessible, it's like plain nice writing. It's not bad, it's not easy or stupid, but it's not like eloquent and elevated and all of that. It's very, very readable, very, very quick. But I think the point of it, and so her name is America, and then it's like a play on words, American Dream, America's Dream, and it's I am enjoying the story. It's a slow plot, really. Almost nothing happens. She just moves. She moves and she's a nanny. But I think there's like 2 hours left of the audiobook, and I'm listening to it at like 1.75 speed, so it's like an hour and change. And there hasn't been like a major conflict. Like there's like little things that could happen, but I think that this might just be a story in which Esmeralda Santiago explores different ideas and just themes that she wants to discuss through the story, but not necessarily have like a very plot driven or anything like that story. It's just the story itself is just an exploration or an example of these themes and these ideas that she seems to have. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I recommend it. I just realized that I said she was in an abusive relationship, but I didn't stress how, like, there is on the page physical and mental abuse, so warning for that.
Immigration, homecoming again, some really big issues, and one of them would have been enough. But if you
Hola, hola. It is 3:23 on Saturday, and I had mentioned in my weekend reading plans video that I was pretty sure I was gonna finish Plain Bad Heroines by Saturday or on Saturday, and I did, and I loved it so much. Okay, so I'm going to caveat this by saying that my emotions about the book differ. Like I'm making a very like clear distinction between how I felt and how I felt reading it and how I feel about it now and the characters, and a more critical lens through which you can view this book. I am never really very much the critical, like, literary reviewer. A lot of my reviews really center on how the book made me feel and the things that it talked about and the themes and things like that, in that sense, and not so much like, yeah, I just I don't feel like I can speak to the literary, like, quality of a book as much, just because I don't feel as comfortable making those types of distinctions. Like I was like a A- B+ English student. So like a lot of how I feel about books is really just based on emotion, and that's fine. That's just the type of reviewer that I am. And I loved the feelings that I got from this book. I loved how queer it is. I loved how gothic it felt. I loved how it sort of like broke the fourth wall and spoke to you, and was like kind of a little bit meta, and had a little bit of like a multimedia aspect to it, and it had illustrations, and it had history, and it was creepy, and it felt very autumnal. I love all of that. If I'm trying and making a very active effort to be more, to critique it in a more literary sense, the three modern day characters could have been developed more. I think the end, it was really, a lot of the end was left kind of to the interpretation of the reader, which is fine for me. I don't need, for some, a lot of the times I'm okay with that, with sort of, you get a lot of little hints and you kind of have to make your own conclusion about it. But I think in this sense it might have been, I don't know if it was as intentional. It didn't feel as intentional as it did for me. I don't know, a lot of reviewers will disagree, with Night Film with Marisha Pessel. That felt more intentionally vague. This felt more like we kept building to something, and then we kind of didn't know where to go from there. Ultimately, I am tempted to give this 5 stars, despite all of those flaws, because I loved the time I spent with this book so much. I couldn't put it down. I kept thinking about it. I loved just how I felt, really. I absolutely adored how I felt reading this book. And so, for that, I will recommend it 100%. But be cognizant of the fact that if you are the type of reader that needs everything, like you need a very clear resolution, if you need, if you don't like, there is a slight info dumpy section that I didn't mind as much, but you might, because it is vague. It's like info dumpy but vague at the same time. Yeah, so just like keep those things in mind. But yeah, the first like 500 pages were just so perfect for me. I loved it so much, and it's like 616 pages, just for your reference. This is an ARC. I do want to buy a physical copy of it, a new copy of it, because I was listening to the audiobook as I read it, and I caught like the different things that had been changed or were wrong. Like there's a character whose name changes halfway through a paragraph, which was really funny. But yeah, I mean, I love this so much. Oh my gosh. It was weird, and it was like aware of itself, but not in an obnoxious way, not in the way. So I did not like The Princess Bride. I didn't like that sort of being aware of itself, trying to talk to the reader type of thing. I didn't like that then. I didn't like it in the YA book, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. I did not enjoy either one of those books. But in this one, I thought it was done brilliantly. Oh my gosh, I love it. And the writing. Again, I can't really tell you why I think the writing is so good, because I don't know about English in that way, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful and evocative, and it just transported me to the setting, and it was dark, and it was witty. Ugh. So yes, you'll see this as a 5-star. Is it in reality a 5-star book, like quality-wise? Who gives a fuck? I did. I liked it. Hello everybody. It is Sunday. It's Father's Day. Sunday the 20th at like 7 p.m. and I finished Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters, which had become available on my Libby app but was not originally in my TBR. So I finished it and I quite enjoyed it. The main character is complex and flawed, and it's really about her learning not only about herself but also gender and sexuality and womanhood and just social expectations and a lot of heartbreak, and I quite enjoyed it. It had some pretty good characters, and I was worried about who our sort of end all relationship was going to be, but no, it ended well. I quite enjoyed it. It was a quick read that I had fun with, and so now I'm going to, I think I want to go like queer of color next. So I'm gonna go with Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabi Rivera, and I don't know if this does not have an audiobook that I can find either on Libby or Scribd. I don't know if it has one, if it's maybe a Audible exclusive. I'm not sure, but it is not. Oh man, it's not very long. It is only 300 pages, but it's YA, so I should be done with this very quickly. And let me show you the end papers and the actual hardback because it's beautiful. So I don't know if you can see, but the hardback has like flowers, kind of. It's like a flower pattern that is 3D and coming up from the cover, and then the inside, these are the end papers. So we have Yankee Stadium, Puerto Rican flag, and then in the back it's lime green. Yay for the library card. And so kind of these two colors. So yeah, this is what I will be reading next. Hello everybody, it is Friday, June 25th. It's almost midnight, and I just finished Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabi Rivera, and it was so good. So I went in thinking that it was young adult, and it is new adult. She's 19 and in college. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. I think it really captures the magic and the wonder and a little bit of fear of like having your eyes open to this world of acceptance and of questioning and of learning and feminism and social justice and getting to understand the world around you through a different lens, and to understand that maybe things that you have been feeling and the person that you are, and what it is, how freeing it is to be within spaces where there are so many other people just like you, and maybe even very different than you, but share very crucial identities with you, and what an amazing and wonderful learning experience that is, and how complex of an experience it is, and how you have to learn to speak up for yourself and to question your own thoughts and your own understanding and your own learning, and to recognize that the people that you may be were so vehemently admired can also be faulty. How you can be a completely different person than the person that your parents wanted you to be, but how they might love you or not, and how you can find family elsewhere. It was just so beautiful. Some of the names, like at least some of the Puerto Rican character names, were a little bit, two names in particular were a little bit cheesy, but besides that, I absolutely loved it, and I think it's gonna be a 5-star for me. I flew through it, and it was just beautiful. Like, it was so beautiful, and it just reminded me of when I started volunteering at Planned Parenthood clinics, and I started meeting all these amazing queer people, people of color, feminists, and my whole world expanded, and the way that I thought completely changed and evolved, and is still an ever evolving process. And it was beautiful, and it made me remember how much I love those spaces, and how much I miss them, and how I miss that community, and it makes me really sad because I don't really have it here, and not because it doesn't exist, but because of my own tendency to withdraw, to be a sort of hermit. And it just really it really kind of reopened my eyes to the realization that I have to find that again, and that I need it, and that it's beautiful, and that it gives me another sense of purpose. And so that is a goal. So I finished that, and I wanted I think the two maybe the two previous reads before this one had been like pretty white queer, so I wanted it to be something a little bit more diverse, because the last book that I think I'm going to be able to get to, and I might not even finish it, but the one that I want to start is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I don't know anything about the characters or anything like that, but I know that she's white. So I wanted to be sure that, not all of my reads were going to be white for this month. So I did that. For things that I have been reading on my phone and through Libby, through the library, I reread Lumberjanes Volumes 1 and 2 because I wanted to get back into the series, and I love them. I love Lumberjanes so much. Let's see, what have I just finished? I read Drama by Raina Telgemeier. That's a middle grade graphic novel that's also queer. Not the main character, but two major side characters are gay. I read Julian is a Mermaid, which is a picture book that is super, super cute and sweet. I read Snapdragon by Kat Lay, which I think I might have spoken about, but I really, really enjoyed, and that is a queer middle grade, upper middle grade graphic novel, where the main character's gender identity isn't, she just kind of, she has a best friend. She has a best friend who's trans, and her mom asks her at some point, like, how do you feel? Do you feel similar things to them? Do you feel like a girl? Do you feel like you're a boy? And she just says that she just doesn't feel like anybody else, and she just feels like kind of like herself, and she's just trying to find her identity and who she is. But her best friend is trans, and her sort of mentor is queer as well, and was in love with our main character's grandma. And that is a really sweet fantasy, really funny. It has some of the funniest facial expressions that I've seen in middle grade graphic novels, and I quite enjoyed it. I was a hoot and a half. And then I have read most. I think I have like 10 minutes left of A Ghost by Jason Reynolds. If you can believe it, this is actually my very first Jason Reynolds, and I thought it was great. I loved it. I thought it tackled a lot of topics in a really beautiful, eloquent, appropriate way for middle grade. So we have Ghost, who's our main character. His father is in jail. So a content warning for domestic abuse. And so he's just trying to be the best student that he can. Sometimes he gets into trouble. He's trying to be the best son that he can. Sometimes he can be difficult, but it's about navigating the world as a young black kid, the difficulties that arise with his father being out of the picture, his mom trying to do everything that she can to provide, and yeah, it's just he kind of stumbles into track, and it's about how he finds friends and finds that he can be what his mom wants him to be, and be a good student and a good kid and a good athlete, and find some purpose, and just have a good time, and learn and grow. And I quite enjoyed it, and it was a super duper quick audiobook, like 3 hours if you listen to it on one speed. So check it out. I will be checking out the rest of the series after this. I think it's like Lou and Patina. There's maybe 3 or 4. And then Ashley over at the Bookish Realm has been gushing nonstop about this Joker comic book series that has been coming out, and I haven't read comic books in a really long time. I tried to get into them a few years back, and I did for a while, and then just kind of stopped, and then started with like graphic non superhero related graphic novels, which I adore. But she's been talking about this series for a while now, and the way she talks about it is great. So I found a local comic book shop, and I visited it, and I wanted to support. And so I got I probably maybe should have started just with the first, but I figured since I was there and I trust her, I picked up the first 4, which I think may be the ones that are currently out right now. So it is The Joker by James Tinian the Fourth, and a few others, obviously. But yeah, so this is what the cover of the first looks like, the cover of the second, the third, and the fourth. And so, as she has said, these are actually, even though they are titled The Joker, or it is titled The Joker, it is really about the effects of the Joker on Commissioner Gordon. So I'm very excited to get to those. Those should be quick reads as well. Those are single issue. And yeah, Priory is gonna be what I focus on next. I would assume probably that it's going to go into July, just because I don't have that much time in the evening. So my evenings are spent, I come home, I work out. No, I used to come home and work out. Now I've started to go to the gym. Way too much testosterone, but anyway, I go to the gym after work. I come home, I shower, shower and stuff, and then I work from home as well. I have to work about 2 hours, 4 days a week from home, and then I have my night free after that. So by then it's typically like 9. So I maybe get like an hour or 2 of reading time, but like I'm also really into sports, and the NBA finals, the NBA playoffs are going on, and Copa America is going on for soccer, and the Euro Cup is going on for soccer, and the Olympic trials are going on. So it is a great time to be a sports lover, but it means that also a lot of my time is spent watching sports. And so yeah, anyways, I don't know if I will check in again. I am just gonna start reading Priory, and that's basically all that I'm gonna read. So if I have anything else to say, I'll say it. If not, I will save it for July. I have been really bad at like planning content for YouTube. I think the last 2 weeks I've only uploaded like one video, or one planned video and one like super quick unplanned one. I don't know, I think it's just that my schedule now is what I just said, and I don't have a lot of extra time, or what I do, I just want to read. So I have to be a little bit better about planning my videos, but alas, it is what it is. Ultimately, I just want to do kind of what feels right. So, and reading feels right. So, this is probably going to be the last clip for this vlog. As always, thank you for watching and for listening. I love you all very much.